Welcome to Automotive Alchemy, a podcast that dwells in the cavernous depths of data, unearthing precious gems of wisdom to illuminate your path to digital marketing success. As alchemists, we understand that each nugget of information is a vital ingredient in our elixir of knowledge. So ready yourselves as we embark on an enlightening journey through the arcane world of data-driven automotive marketing.
Hey, Andrew. I'm really excited to be here with you today. This is our first podcast together. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me, Lisa.
So you are one of my favorite people within Dealer Alchemist because you are so freaking brilliant. You are way ahead of the curve on technology and trends. And I am really pumped to nerd out with you today and talk about GA4.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Really looking forward to going through everything.
So GA4 and kind of what's happening on the scene in automotive feels a little bit like a yard sale right now. I think we thought we were all going to be way ahead of the curve, and it's not feeling like that. What are you experiencing?
Yeah, I could say it's definitely been a hard time going through everything. We started prepping quite a while ago with this. And the biggest thing that we're seeing is a lot of people are playing catch up, which has made things very interesting, ensuring everything's set up correctly for our client base.
That is one thing I love about you is we kind of it's probably just me playing it by myself, but this intellectual game where I'm constantly reading up on technology and listening with open mind as to what's happening inside of our industry. And I'll come back to you with little tidbits and be like, hey, did you know that GA4 is going to be rolling out? And you're like, yeah, we rolled that out in the spring of 2022. And you're always way ahead of the curve. I haven't caught you yet on any exciting things that you don't already know about. And you're super proactive with that. Why do you think that Google is doing this right now? Do you think this has anything to do with their future in AI, or why now?
I think there's a couple things going on. To your point about AI, the biggest thing inside of there is they're shifting over to machine learning inside of GA4. And they're kind of going inside together to create the best metrics possible. Now, it's up to debate on if that is a great thing, an okay thing, a mediocre thing. It's all over the place, but it seems like that is the end goal that they're looking to go for.
Yeah, and they are tracking some things very differently than they were before. What are some of the major differences, do you think, between Universal Analytics and GA4?
The biggest difference that's right in front of everybody's face is definitely the cross-platform device tracking, I could say. They're going more and more off of device IDs, and it's giving a clearer picture with what's happening during, after the fact, in between, all over the place, which is really nice, honestly, but you're going to see a lot of metrics change over time, I could say.
Now, in our industry, we know that there's kind of been an internal debate on what's a conversion and what is not a conversion. Now, in automotive, we would consider a conversion somebody that's purchasing a vehicle. And as an industry, we're lucky that Google went ahead and named any type of conversion goal conversion, right? And so now we really talk in terms of like a hard conversion or a soft conversion. I'm seeing a big difference between what dealers want to track in terms of conversions as they were known before. What is your take on what should be tracked and what shouldn't be tracked?
Sure. And just to catch everybody up, conversions are pretty much the new name of goals out of Universal Analytics, just to catch everybody up on that. It is importing in the events same as Universal Analytics with those setups, but now they're named conversions. Now, some of those, I guess, soft and hard conversions, you kind of want to look at what's tangible to you. For us, a lot of the things that we like looking at are people looking at SERPs? Are they looking at VDPs? And what else is going on with that? Then there's also the hard conversions. We like to monitor items like click to call, click to chat, any type of form fill. Can you segment those out? Looking at trade submissions, general inquiries, maybe it's on the service side. So those are the biggest ones that we look at, but you also want to look at your dealership and see what's most applicable to you, because there might be something additional you might want to track.
That's been a long-term debate too in our industry, is that SRPs and VDPs are not actually a conversion. I've heard that numerous times. I do believe, like yourself, that it is relative. So I'd love to have your perspective on why you believe there's value in tracking VDPs and SRPs.
Of course. So those are, in my opinion, good to look at as conversions because you want to be able to monitor and audit all the different companies that are doing advertising for you. They could say that they'd be doing one thing and you go in and find that's not the case at all. So it's an excellent audit process to make sure whatever advertising you have going on is doing actually what they say it's supposed to do. So we watch those heavily. And when you look at those, you're also looking at, well, where are they coming from? Are they even from your relative city and state? Or are they all coming from another country with 60% of the traffic? So something like those items, if you're pushing things to SRP, it's a good window to see, well, what's happening after the fact, because you see all this traffic going on to the SRPs, and there's really nice windows to look at, and even on the VDP side, I'd have to say.
One of the biggest shifts I've seen inside of GA4 in metrics is time on site. Now, I know that that's correlated with the way that the cross-device tracking is happening. It is a metric that has been heavily relied upon advertisers inside of our industry. So I'd love your insight there as well. How is that changing and what does it look like?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the inside of Universal Analytics, it was just straight up time on site with it. And now it has shifted over to like average engaged time on site or different ways of looking at that. And what it's actually doing is it's trying to really clarify attribution on items. You will see a dip in average time on site, kind of when you're comparing it to Universal Analytics versus the engaged time on site. Because what's happening is it's looking at that very first interaction. A very common one that we're seeing now is social traffic will take a dip because it's analyzing more things that happen after the fact. So you are going to see that lower time on site here and there, depending on the advertiser that's going inside of it. But the hard thing with that is you just also want to look at your returning traffic of what's happening afterwards. So it is kind of a full picture to monitor all of that, I'd have to say.
I do love that. Like, I loved it in Universal Analytics, being able to go back and see where traffic is going, how it's coming back, where it's landing, how deep are they going. So are you able to track that also in GA4? And how does that look different as well? Because one thing that I have heard on a regular basis is, well, I'm not on social. Nobody's on social. Social doesn't sell cars. Social doesn't work. But then when we actually dig into the data and look, we very often see that traffic is coming back a second and third time. So how are those metrics tracked differently in GA4? And is there any other differences or changes that you're seeing with that traffic?
I think the one difference is being able to have return users as a main section where you're looking at your sessions, your users, and then also the returning users option is a really nice one. There's also the setup for path exploration reports where you can see everywhere that they're going afterwards. But if you don't have too much time to be going in and out with things, the returning users section is a really good one.
That's awesome. Okay, so as of today, we have industry experts touting that 90% of dealers do not have events firing properly. I know that we've seen our own challenges within getting all providers, website, marketing and advertisers, third parties to participate in a way that tracks the information accurately for dealers. What are you seeing there? And do you have any tips for dealers or other marketers and advertisers on how to make that a little bit more of a simplified process?
Absolutely. With those setups, you do want to reach out to all of your providers. You want to be able to give them your measurement ID so events can be sent on over. We are seeing a lot of companies not even supplying that as an available option as of yet. But the biggest thing is, are they actually connected? And there's some simple ways to go about it. And being able to monitor your events coming in. If there's nothing coming in, it's not connected. So you are going to have to reach out to whichever provider that you're not seeing events firing to ensure that they are actually sending items over, because we are seeing a lot of challenges where some companies do not even have this set up yet. So we're having to either manually build it or have to paint the picture in a different manner.
One of my biggest concerns that, because we have been giant advocates for transparency, is that, and we've been very public about our opinion of proprietary reporting and how metrics can be hidden inside of that. It does feel a little bit like this process is so complicated that there's going to be a deeper dependency on proprietary reports and how that data and how those metrics could be skewed. So I know there should be expressed like a really heavy interest in ensuring that GA4 is set up properly for your dealership and for your dealer partners, your vendors. Any advice on that? And what do you think we're going to see in the future with dashboards and outside proprietary reports?
Yeah, with that, if you are using dashboards, it can be a little bit of skewed information from time to time. Absolutely. And GA4 doesn't have to be that complicated. It is kind of a picture that's been painted where you're so reliant on whichever company that you're dealing with. And to your question about transparency, we believe in building it out as simple as possible and getting your conversion set up. So it actually is a real clear window because you can open up GA4 and you see everything popping up and you're like, this doesn't look like anything I used to look at anymore. So we really enjoy the simplified method of being able to look at your source mediums and what's firing as your conversions through how we set up items. And that's something we're always more than happy to explain to people or walk them through that.
Yeah, I really do love how helpful we are. I know that we've even helped some clients in a situation where we saw that for every single form fill that was being fired, there was actually 3 being reported in. How can dealers make sure that they are holding their vendors accountable and ensuring that what's firing is actually accurate?
Yes, that's a very good question. What you can do in those instances is find what it is where you have what a question is. For your example of form firing 3 different times, that can mean that they do not have the events pumping in correctly. So what we usually encourage is look at your real-time traffic inside of GA4. I'd go ahead and do a form fill on your website to see what's firing, because sometimes you will see, we have triple events firing on forums or chats, and that just means there is an incorrect setup on it. So I'd highly recommend that you do test it yourself to verify what they say is happening is actually happening, and things aren't fluffed up or overblown. Hold that accountability to everybody, in my opinion.
Yeah. What? Fluffed up? That doesn't happen in this business. And also just want to let everybody know that we are here to help. We can help you set up your GA4. We can get everything connected. We're happy to take a look just to be an extended ally and help you guys make sure that everything is firing correctly. So Andrew, with all of this focus and a deeper focus with GA4 on customer behavior, data analytics, how is this helping marketing strategies be more predictive and plan for the future and tweak and adjust how they're responding to customer behavior?
I believe the machine learning aspect for being able to take a little bit more time of what people are actually doing is certainly a helpful window. There's different ways of going about it. One of the more easier ones is if you want like the quick bird's eye view is, you could go over into your advertising section of GA4. And there's a section inside of there that shows attribution, and you could look at the conversion paths inside of there. That's a really nice one to be looking at. And then adjust it over to your source medium. So it's not like anything of default channels where it just says website, Facebook, search. Look at the source medium. So that's one of the better ways to be going about it, because you are going to see how agencies or different companies, they UTM tag things out. And I believe right now that's a perfect window of a quick way to look at it outside of going into your paths exploration reports.
Okay, super cool. And then will you also touch on the very exciting funnel analysis piece of GA4?
Absolutely. The funnel analysis, that's a really fun one because it is collecting all the device IDs and making sure that it is properly attributed. And the simplest form of what's going on is to see everybody's customer journey while they're visiting on the website. There are other options inside of Universal Analytics, but we do believe if you look at the funnel setups inside of there, it is a little bit more real. It is very difficult from a technology aspect to say, well, which way is which way is right. And I do feel like this is a better step forward for having this data and attribution.
I love that. Deeper analysis, deeper clarity, deeper transparency. So speaking of transparency, the consultant in me cannot help but to emphasize to dealers that they absolutely need to make sure that whoever is running their paid search campaigns inside of Google Ads has that connected inside of GA4. This is where you can make sure that you understand every dollar and every penny that is spent on your Google campaigns and how those are broken out. And I know that you and I have talked a lot about this, why it's important. We've dug in the back end where we've seen campaigns bleeding into each other in different arenas. So will you please touch on this and just emphasize that importance as well? Because this is definitely where we'd like to nerd out and be advocates for dealers.
For sure. That is a really good one. And that can be set up inside your explorations report because people can say that it is connected and analytics. And the things that you have to question is, well, to what capacity? Because there's a lot of different agreements that you could have with your search company. There might be a situation where they have a proposed markup on items, and you go to check things out and come to find the costs and the CPCs are blocked on things. And that's extremely important to be observing, because it's fine if people are upcharging inside of it. That's just based on whatever agreement's going on for it. But if nothing's showing inside of there and you already know what your markup might be, I could find that could be really questionable from time to time, because you want to ask yourself, well, are they really doing that 10, 15, 20% markup on things for them as a business model, or are you getting taken advantage of? And that's why it's really important to say, well, yes, it's connected, but is it fully connected? Because those items are hidden, and we don't like to see that on our end. Yeah.
Yes, we've even seen branded campaigns inside of make model campaigns. And so having the ability as a dealer to be able to, or even a marketing director at a dealership or with a dealer group, to peel that open and to really understand what's happening inside of those campaigns is so critical. It's so important. We also have seen, where the CPC is skewed, and maybe you can touch on that because their different campaigns cost different amounts.
Absolutely. Like a really good one that we always see is, to your point, where things are buried inside of other things. We'll see make model advertising, and they're touting something along the lines of a 64-cent CPC, but we come to find 80% of that traffic was from a display campaign that was buried inside of it. Or they were burying brand and regional terms inside of other items, but they call it something else. And that level of transparency is important because you need to see how companies are going about things, and definitely use an air of caution when you're going inside of it, because nobody likes to be swindled, and the transparency method is 100% how you should be going about things to make sure is what they say they're doing is that what's actually happening.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, ask the deeper questions, make them show you, have them peel back the curtains and get in there, because it's very insightful. Mm-hmm. Okay, so one thing that I love about working with you is that you actually originated outside of automotive. And so you come with a plethora of fresh ideas and different technologies, different standards, and different strategies. And you talk a lot about data theory, which just lights my brain up because I love to nerd out with you. Will you talk a little bit and touch a little bit on what strategies that you've brought in terms of your unique perspective to Dealer Alchemist, and how that has impacted the way that you've set up GA4 for our clients?
Yeah, and I appreciate you outlining my various experience with it.
It's exciting.
Yeah. So I can say for that part of it, when I got back into automotive, things have accelerated a lot quicker in the last few years, but we actually really like to bring non-automotive practices into the automotive industry, because a lot of advertising was 5 to 10 years behind with it. And I was kind of shocked, because I've been in and out of automotive here and there with things. And I remember when I came back in, I was looking at items. I was like, this is exactly the same as it was 10 years ago. So it allowed us, with a lot of tech experience outside of the automotive industry, to offer a different perspective. And I feel it's allowed us to pivot a lot more, to come up with more fresh ideas. It's helped us, to your point of data theory, of what type of audiences are you going after? Are those paid audiences that you're doing actually convert? Or is there better opportunity of your geo-targeting or retargeting and ensuring you're actually going after the right audiences? Because you might find you might have a lot of trash traffic that you're doing, and it's a ton of users. It looks really good, but are they even the right users? So I'll check out what your conversions are after the fact as well. And do you have a 0-second on time site for things? Like, that could be a big question as well. We've seen that also. So for the whole aspect of things, it is really good to step back and think to yourself, like, yes, we are in the automotive industry, but are we in the best position from a technology standpoint?
Yes, and I loved what you said about targeting quality traffic. I feel like we agree that the term in-market audiences has been bastardized and overused, and we are seeing an incredible increase in conversion with our clients. One of our largest clients touted that we improved their website quality of traffic by 86%. So I love that. I love seeing dealers win. And thanks for that. It's awesome. Well, listen, I could keep you here all day long picking your brain, because it's one of my absolute favorite things to do. I have a lot more questions about other acronyms that are being thrown around in our industry and what you think about them. So we'll save that for the next podcast. But thank you so much, Andrew. I absolutely enjoyed our time. And if anybody has any questions regarding GA4 or you'd like some help, you can reach us at the email nitro@dealeralchemist.com. That's NITRO@dealeralchemist.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day.
Thanks, Lisa. Have a good one.
Ciao.